This is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 Plus 2. We're on the Nintendo Switch taking a look at this latest port of the game. So for context, I've seen it on the Xbox One X, I've seen it on the Series X optimized, and now I'm seeing how it's running on the Switch, which is kind of exciting, because you can basically take the entirety of this really well done remake anywhere with you, which is kind of spectacular. So you're getting 1080p when it is, docked on the TV, and when it's undocked on the go, you get 720p, both run at 30 FPS, and for the most part, it's actually decently smooth. Now, there were quite a few scenes across basically all of the levels where there was like a moment where it would stutter, or I'd get like a little bit of a noticeable drop. Not the worst thing in the world, and you might be even seeing it in the video, but it is kind of a little frustrating when you're trying to, pull off a trick or something, and then, there's like a drop, and it's kind of a little awkward, because the Joy-Cons are already, like, the buttons are very small, so it's a little bit harder to pull off, tricks and stuff. At least I felt that when I was playing. But other than that, it's the whole experience. You got all of the maps across the two games that have been put together here. You've got the option to work through like the career, quote unquote, as you try to complete objectives in order to be able to unlock new areas. There's also just the free skate option, the sort of kind of timed session as well. So it's like a bit of a free run, but it's not kind of push like campaign is. Then you do have, obviously, the option right here to create your own character from a pre-selection set of options. Very similar to what I've seen in the past of the game on other platforms. You can, of course, also play as a number of iconic skaters that have been brought back, alongside some new skaters that have been added to this one. So yeah, it's actually kind of that full package. It even has the online competitive multiplayer, where if you're, into that sort of competing option, it's actually kind of solid if you like that. It's got the map kind of creator option, or well, I don't know what you would call it, the park creator option, because it's skateboarding, different terminology, but that's included in this, which really does add a lot of options for customization and long-term replayability if you want to get new environments. And there's a lot of tools and different options for how you interact with that selection of tools and play with them, so you can have new maps and kind of enjoy that multiplayer suite that's available on other platforms as well, but on the Switch. So it seems like, basically, from what I played through this, that it's the full game, which is really quite exciting. They didn't scale down. They scaled down the visuals, but they didn't scale down the package content, which I definitely appreciate. And it's still a really phenomenal and fun game. I really do just genuinely love what they were able to achieve with this one, just in terms of bringing back that original style, while also just taking it to another level in terms of visual quality and just the scope of it. It's really quite exciting. There's a lot going on here. There's different like challenges, different missions. I guess for context, to kind of build further on the career option, so like I said, at each map you're kind of working through the selection of goals. So either things like you have to get so many points, you have to collect skate, you can collect 5 letters on the map that you have to grab, or there might be 5 objects, like on the air hanger here you have to collect 5 aviator kind of token things that are floating around in the map, or you have to ollie a gap, or you have to do this, or you have to unlock this secret area, or grab this secret tape, because the maps have different, like, there's tapes that are hidden, or there's like different like timed events you can have, and there's a fun little bit of destruction too as you smash things in the environment. And yeah, it's kind of got just a host of different skateboarding options, whether you want to, kind of grind rails, do sick jumps, pull off great tricks. And what's really cool, if you played the originals and you maybe haven't jumped onto the Switch version or any other version prior, it's got a really cool, snappy, responsive respawn system, where you basically, you kind of fall, you fail, and then you're right back into the action, whereas the old one, kind of was a little bit more punishing if you were to mess up or something like that. This one actually kind of keeps you going with a cool sort of rewind VHS type thing, which I think is kind of nice and just a good touch for kind of keeping the flow of it going. I should also mention that, it was a little bit harder off the bat when you're playing this one, because you have to find like skill tokens, and the skill tokens are how you improve your particular skater in order to like be able to jump higher, or have more air hang time when you're pulling off tricks, or grinding more efficiently. So yeah, kind of a little hard and rough to kind of restart from scratch. I'd forgotten about that. And then, you've got to actually complete so many of the objectives I was mentioning, the point ones and everything like that on the levels in order to unlock a new level. And then, you unlock all the different levels in the game, and that's, all part of the progressional system of this game if you want to go through it. But it was absolutely just a blast to be back in here again. It's just a ton of fun to play. There's so many different experiences you can have, and you can spend a lot of time sitting there kind of grinding out the campaign, competing with others, just working around, kind of honing your skills, learning the different, abilities. And there's like a tutorial if you need that as well to get you, sort of caught up on the abilities. They have fun little hidden secrets here, like this with the alien here. I tried to stop by it so you can kind of, get some of the little verses the alien saying, and it's just kind of funny, the different maps and the setups that are present here. They just really did a great job putting this together. They've got a stellar soundtrack behind this as well. Obviously, I had to mute that because of, copyright stuff and all that, but seriously, they've got some great tracks. It very much feels like something of its time, but also just beautifully touched up for the modern era. That's the big part of it. And on the Switch, it's actually fairly solid in terms of the visuals. I was genuinely kind of impressed with the quality here. I know, you can look at it and you can be like, oh, some of the texturing, a little rough around the edges, some of the lighting stuff, it's not obviously quite impressive as I've seen on other platforms, but it's actually one of the more impressive Switch ports that I've seen where they didn't really seem to have to sacrifice a whole lot of the quality. Obviously, the loss of 60 FPS is really quite heartbreaking for a game where you're doing fine-tuned tricks and movements, but you actually get a pretty solid visual quality even on a TV. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. Like a 4K TV, I was like, okay, this looks pretty good, and it plays decently well. But obviously, since I have seen bits of performance here and there, some issues, I would imagine that kind of bumping it up to a higher frame rate just wouldn't be possible, which is a shame. But it's just something that you just kind of expect on the platform, right? And that's fine. It's still a really good game. And the biggest part of this is the fact that you can have this really fun premium skateboarding experience anywhere. Like you just take this up on the go and you're just rolling, right? And you get all these different options for play and competing and different maps to work through. And you can spend a lot of hours sitting here kind of figuring stuff out, especially if you're new. If you're like a veteran player, you're going to probably come back into this and be like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Collect this, collect that, get those points, pull off those tricks. But if you're new to the series, you're going to be really in for a treat because, this is a great starting point to kind of, learn the series, get an idea of it. I genuinely hope that we get a follow-up. I don't know if there's any studios still working on, the Tony Hawk games at this point. I think they're all on Call of Duty. Bit of a industry side message or note there, but, it would be fantastic if we do get to eventually see another follow-up with remakes or a new entry in the series. That would be a lot of fun, because I think the basis of what they put together here is really exciting. And obviously, while you might think that the game, age-wise, maybe the mechanics and stuff might seem old, or the style of the maps might seem aged, but no, it actually holds up beautifully well. I was genuinely surprised going back here and playing it. I was like, oh, this is really fun. Playing it the first time and then jumping on the Switch again, I didn't even mind sitting here kind of, grinding it out, as to say. I was just kind of like, oh, this is a skateboarding blast. And obviously you're going to see a bit more fails here as I do more of a long cut video. I'm not stellar at this game, but I do have an absolute blast trying to figure out certain things, gather the secrets, because you can just open up entirely different areas of the map if you go around and hit a pull line or kind of smash and use the helicopter, kind of send the helicopter off on one level, and then there's fun little things kind of in the mix. You might have basically, I think here I'm trying to get up on the staircase again to do the ride thing, but anyways, you might end up there's cars on some of the levels rolling around and you can get by the car, or there's the guy, the security guard at the school, and he's rolling you down with the little golf cart or whatever he's got there. Kind of just little funny things. So it's just sort of really that peak, I think, skateboarding style from a different era brought back and still beautifully handled. I mean, these two games here really were, quite well loved by a lot of people. And to have them restored and then also available on so many different platforms is A, a treat, and B, such a pleasant surprise, because you just, almost weren't expecting to ever be able to play these games on modern platforms. definitely not to the degree that we're seeing here, especially with like the Switch port. I mean, everybody wants to have a Switch port going on, but you know, to scale it down like this, and obviously, you know, it's not as pretty as I'm used to visually, but it's the geometry, the world style, it's all kind of there. There is a bit more pop into with the how you go around the environment, but for the most part, they absolutely kind of nailed bringing this conversion over. I mean, I can see like little bits of imperfections here or there, but I think most people probably won't really notice that or won't really care. I think the biggest thing is kind of being like, wow, this is that whole thing. Now, this map seems to suffer quite a bit from blurry kind of visuals on some of the artwork, which is a shame because it's a very graphically cool level. But yeah, you can see like even this eye looks super, super blurry, whereas some of the other, you know, patchworks of art kind of are really sort of clean looking, if that makes sense. It's a weird mix. I think some of the edges here just kind of like don't look as quality. Like I'm gonna actually, I think, gonna throw together a fun little comparison between this and Series X, just to see the bigger difference between the two. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a really great take on it. I think all things considered, you know, the Switch port actually gets the job done. You can enjoy this on the go if you want. You can sit on the big TV and it doesn't look too bad. You can, you know, play with others. You can just experience, you know, whatever kind of boarding style you want, and you can have a lot of fun, you know, doing it. So on this one, I think that's kind of really exciting. It's a treat. It's a pleasant game. It's got a really kickin' soundtrack to it as well, and I think it's just genuinely a fun kind of experience to have and to play, even if you're not, you know, kind of a fan of necessarily skateboarding. You might also find this to be an entertaining option to kind of enjoy. Like it's the great game you kind of might have played on other platforms, or a great game that you might have never played before, and you're going to jump on here and be like, wow, this is kind of cool. Oh, I guess there's local 2-player modes for head-to-head as well. I thought I should mention that, but yeah,